Well, Disney Plus may be your source for new episodes of the Clone Wars, but Rebel Force Radio is your source for a Clone Wars reunion of sorts. We had Ashley Eckstein on last week, and this week we have none other than Obi-Wan himself, Mr. James Arnold Taylor, joining us.
Hello. It's
I knew it.
From California.
Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't.
We got the lines crossed. You pressed the wrong
May the Force be with you.
Oh,
May
but it
the
looks
Force
like
be with
James.
Ben, we'll be taking calls later in the show.
Yes.
But wait a second. This is odd. It actually is James Arnold Taylor's address here punched up.
I'm doing deep fake. I'm doing deep
What
fake.
have you done with Mr. Arnold Taylor?
It is a deep fake of James Arnold Taylor.
It's a deep fake. My God.
Yes.
But Ben, where is the real James Arnold Taylor? What have you done with him?
I don't know. Last I saw, he was in a little padded room talking to himself.
Right, and that's where he's his most comfortable in that padded room.
That's a green screen background of his studio. I took it off of the internet. And I got a picture of his studio off the internet, and I am deep faking his face, and now I'll do his voice. Hello there. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
See,
wow, that's impressive.
It is. If something ever happens to the real James Arnold Taylor, Ben, I think you got yourself a gig, man.
I'm awesome. I'm going to get him some food.
So, you know what? Jason has a special introduction that he has at his fingertips, and we're going to listen to that. And during that moment, we want you to get the real James Arnold Taylor. Can you do that for us, Ben from California?
I'm going to do that, yes. And he can deep fake me.
Okay, perfect.
So Jason, all right, so this is the magic. This will bring out the real James.
Rise in the Force.
No.
I don't know what's going on with this soundboard right now.
James Arnold Taylor.
Wow.
There it is.
Yeah.
It took some doing, but we got it.
Man, Ben from California had hijacked my space, and but he even knew the right shirt. That's what's impressive.
Well, it looks like you guys are the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you could swap clothes. You go over and wear some of his stuff. He can wear some of yours.
I always know the true Clone Wars fans, because the true Clone Wars fans listen to Rebel Force Radio and know Ben from California. So when I am at a con and people come up and they start talking about Ben from California, I know they're the real deal.
Well, I was just thinking about that last week when we had Ashley on the phone, because I think Ben from California made his debut on the show.
Yes.
When we were prank calling Ashley. Well, we weren't prank calling her. You were prank calling her. We already had her on the phone, and we said we would open up the call. We're going to open up the phone to callers. And then Ben from California was there. And Ashley, God bless her, she really took her time with you.
She was so sweet, because she really was like, I'm not going to take a chance. And when Ben did his impression of Obi-Wan, she was like floored. She's like, that's really good.
That's right. Remember that? Remember that? That was a great moment. That was
something tells me that might be showing up on YouTube here in the next few days.
I would love that.
I was just thinking that. It's been a while since I heard that gem. So yeah, be looking for that.
Well, it's also been a while since we had a chance to talk to you, James. It's been some time, and how exciting is it for you to be able to tune in on these Fridays and watch new episodes of the Clone Wars?
It's very surreal, and it's great being with you guys. I love you guys. I am so happy to be here. The last time we talked, we were talking about, it coming back, but now it's back, and it feels like no time has passed. That theme kicks in, Tom Kane's voice comes on, and tells you all about what's happening in that episode. And, and it's like, life is good again. It really is fun. It's just a blast.
Does Tom ever get a little bit threatened by the fact that you do such a dead-on impersonation of him that he worries he might become expendable. I don't. You can never have a
You
Clone
can
Wars
never
episode.
get rid of Tom Kane. No, but
'cause he's much taller than us, and he will give us a
doing
beating.
impressions of him. Yeah, it's like because Tom is he's just such a great guy, and we have voice offs a lot. So then it's like I can do my Tom Kane and do the whole thing like this. Yes. So
I've never asked Tom if he does a James Arnold Taylor voice.
Nobody does a James Arnold Taylor. That every time, like my friends in voice acting do my voice, they go, "Hi, how you doing?" They're like they do this really squeaky, whiny kind of thing, and it's like that's not how I sound.
That's not how I sound. That's not how I sound. That's not how I sound.
I mean, come on.
Come on, God, that's not how I sound.
Well, aside from Ben from California, nobody does a James Arnold Taylor that I'm aware of.
That's right. That's true. That's very true.
But
yeah. So no, are you guys enjoying the Clone Wars?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, we were the ones who, were worried about the Clone Wars so much. We started the Save the Clone Wars campaign way back when, and to see it finally come back really with fresh episodes and. Have you guys reunited in the voiceover booth? Not only just have the show coming back, but having the people who were responsible for its initial success come back to bring it back. Guys like you, Ashley, Matt, Dave Filoni, and some of the other wizards over there at what used to be known as Lucasfilm Animation.
Right. Yeah. Joel Aaron doing a great job.
Yeah.
D. Bradley Baker deserving an Emmy for his work in this year. I've been saying it all over the place. I want to get him nominated for an Emmy for his work. Those Bad Batch arcs are just phenomenal. To think of one actor portraying all these characters.
It was like a one-man show.
Voice, but not. Yeah, it was him and Matt Wood. Basically, the first couple of episodes are just them. And, of course, Tom Kane. right, wherever I can do Tom.
But you don't, I mean, you have to stop and remind yourself that it's one guy. Because the action just plays as if it's a whole cast of actors.
Yep. The inflections, the tones, and how he puts so much into each one of these guys and their lives. You feel the texture and tone of these characters' lives through the voices that he creates for them. I really believe that. So it's really fun stuff. I love the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit of how much you were involved actually in season 7? Were you finding yourself recording a lot of dialogue, or was it basically stuff you'd already done before?
Well, originally I thought it was going to be a lot of just recycled dialogue, that not recycled in that, stuff people had heard before, but things that we had recorded for season 7 originally. But it turns out, Dave, because he used a lot of the storylines in Rebels that he wanted to tell in 7 and then if we had ever gone into 8. So he rewrote a lot of stuff. So there was actually a lot of new things. I'd say I probably had 6 or 7 sessions.
Oh.
So, there's 12 episodes, but, normally there would be 12 sessions then if I was in all 12, which I'm not in all 12 of them. But so yeah, there was actually a lot. There was a lot of pickup sessions because Dave was really set on getting this right. Like he wanted the fans to really know that we strive to get each moment right, especially when there's only 12 episodes, there's only so much time. And in that second episode where Obi-Wan has that great moment with Rex while Anakin and Padme are having their time there.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say 3 times we went back in and redid those lines and tried them different ways and finessed them and stuff. But so much fun to do that. And one of the times we were doing it, the first time, Kat Tabor was in there, Matt Lanter, D. Bradley Baker, and Ashley was recording some lines. So she was in the room with us. And Dave, we recorded a few times and he goes, "It's so good, we have it, but let's do it again a few more times just because it's fun to be here." And it was right. So we just got to play with it more. And then he had us come back in and, I had to finesse that. I hope you at least told Padme hello. There was various ways of doing it. Not too snarky, not too heavy-handed, not too funny, and then Dee's reaction as well. So it was fun.
One of the things I picked up on that scene, James, and we'll get real nerdy. This is like right out of the Saturday Night Live sketch where the nerds are interviewing William Shatner. But I mean,
it's to be business as usual.
Yeah, right. I guess we should. Yeah. Who am I trying to impress? What, James Arnold Taylor? Come on. But I did notice that when that scene happened, I go, oh, this is the beginning of that relationship starting to get Rocky. So you said you didn't want to do too much snark. I think you got it just right because it butts right into episode 3 beautifully.
Yeah, it's thank you for saying that, and it means the world to me. And it meant a lot to all of us because we're seeing where these characters are going now, which we never got to do before with the show. You know, we danced around it a lot in seasons, but never as much as we have this time. So yeah, I'm excited for everybody and what they're going to see.
I think this is
seeing that little moment there where Obi-Wan is revealing to Anakin, hey, I know more than you think I know.
Yeah.
I mean, just that little character moment between the two of them, and then Anakin BSing him and giving him a sort of almost a knowing glance, like, I know you know.
Yeah.
Because they're brothers, right? They're brothers, and they're super tight with each other, and they both know more about each other than each other knows about themselves. So when just that little moment, I'm going to carry that with me into my next screening of Revenge of the Sith and take note of how Obi-Wan is around Anakin when he's revealing his fragility about his relationship with Padme. Just those little cracks in the surface will become, I think, more noticeable now.
I agree. I totally agree, and know that there could be even more moments like that where people feel like, wow, because we're really drawing closer to that. That was the fun thing about Rebels, for example, was when I got to deliver that holocron message, was doing something that could add to the movie that had been around already for so long that we never really got to see. So that's the beautiful thing about the Clone Wars, is giving us those opportunities to expand the films in ways that I don't think anybody could have even imagined, even George at the time, until he got going in it and had so much fun doing it. So yeah.
Well, that relationship was completely fulfilled. The promise of the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin was fulfilled through the Clone Wars, because that was for me one of the, being an original trilogy guy, kid growing up and watching the original films and hearing about what a good friend he was and how they kind of ran around the galaxy together. I just had these images in my mind, and we never really got to see that in the prequels much. We got to see a very fatherly son kind of relationship, and then bitter rivals. It went to the extremes, but you guys just fit that in so neatly and so well.
That's I think the beautiful thing about it. And I've been lately I've been saying, it's kind of a comparison to what Star Trek was able to achieve as a television show. Star Trek was great because, you got the original, and then you got Next Generation. And I think even more so in Next Generation, where you really got to see a day in the life of these characters, and then they made movies and the action. And this worked in reverse. With Clone Wars, we got to go back and see the day-to-day. We got to see Anakin's room, in the temple. We got to see posters on the wall and models on the shelves. And you didn't get to do that in the films. There wasn't enough time to do that. So that's been the beautiful part as an actor in this world of Star Wars, playing these characters in a way that nobody else has really got to play them in that we got to open it up in new ways.
Have you ever been a part of a show before that had such a long break and then came back? And it's pretty rare. I think of Family Guy famously was, I think, canceled a couple of times, but it was never 7, 8, 9 years like we've had with Clone Wars.
No. Isn't it fascinating? Yeah, it is funny. It is funny also. There's a lot of things. I mean, like Final Fantasy X was a game that I did many, many years ago. And we come back every once in a while and revisit it. And last year I did some new games in the voice of Tidus, this character. And so that was probably the closest I could get. Or Ratchet and Clank, the video game series that we've done for many years. There'd be times where, I would do an episode or a video game, and then we'd come back and we did the movie, and that was really cool because it was the same kind of thing. But no, nothing like this. And I think that that's also because there's really been nothing like Clone Wars. And I do think that, 10, 20 years from now, people are going to look back and go, that was the show that changed animation and changed it for the better and made it very hip to be an animated drama. Like, who does that? It's like George Lucas had that vision. I think time and time again, because I'm a true believer of what George accomplished with Star Wars. And I just time and again see that he was so far ahead of the curve with everything. And I love that. I love that about Clone Wars, because here we are, and we're back, and yet we're telling a story from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
And George Lucas, of course, his fingerprints and resonance still is very strong throughout Star Wars. Was it ever on your mind that you're now working on a Star Wars that George Lucas isn't necessarily directly involved in anymore?
Ooh, that's a great question. And yeah, it did and it didn't, because of Dave Filoni. Dave is the glue to the whole thing. He's the one that makes it all work in that. And so when we got back in the room, it was like no time had passed and nothing had changed. Yet you're working for a different company. The way things, managed, even the way you're scheduled, is different than how it worked before. So you're reminded of it there. But story-wise, the feel, the texture of the scripts, the tone and everything didn't really change. And I think that that's because Dave and George had such a deep connection on this, such a day-to-day operations that they were used to. And Dave had very much in his mind what he wanted to accomplish with this too. So yes and no, no in the creative feel. So it didn't feel different, but yes, in that walking in, you're like, oh yeah, there's somebody else owns this now. It's a different franchise in some ways. Yeah.
James, was it lost on you the fact that Star Wars, like any other large community of people that are gathered around a common interest, there are factions and fractures that develop, and Star Wars is certainly not immune to that. But was it lost on you that within all of that fallout from Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and people picking sides, that it was the Clone Wars that at one time was somewhat controversial to Star Wars fans, that it was the Clone Wars that united fans?
Not lost on me at all. I felt that, and I said it to Matt and Ashley and Kat. We were talking about it, and Dee as well, about how isn't this funny that like the one thing everybody can agree on is they're excited Clone Wars is back. I mean, that's fantastic, and that's a real tribute to it. And I hope that Disney sees that as well. No disrespect to them. I know that in the beginning it was kind of like, oh yeah, that's not our thing, so we're going to create something new. And then it's like, oh, people really like this, we're going to bring it back. I hope they see the importance of that. I hope they see the importance of the prequel storylines as well. I mean, honestly, I think they could have gone and just said, we're going to just bring this show back and not say we're going to end it. And tell adventures for another 10 years of just the various adventures that Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme and all of them had. I mean, why not?
Why not? Hey, never say never. Never say never. And if the fans demand it and Disney recognizes the potential, like I know they gradually have been over the course of the last however many years, I can't help but keep reminding myself of a conversation you and me had back in 2013, the day it was announced after season 5 had wrapped up that the Clone Wars was being canceled. And you and me spoke, and I could hear the emotion in your voice. I knew that you were really busted up by this. Does coming back for season 7 sort of help soothe some of those old wounds maybe that you felt back then?
Yeah, no, that's another great question. It does, because it was very emotional at that time. We had just won Emmys, and the show was finally kind of getting recognized as the real show that it was. It was like little movies every week, and it was so exciting. And we were doing, USO tours, and we were just really kind of getting started is how it felt. So the rug got pulled out from under us, and now it's like, okay, this is great. It's seeing everybody's excitement, including Disney's excitement, and they've been wonderful with it. That's been great. That's been really pleasing to all of us. We all got to go to the premiere of Rise of Skywalker, which was nice, which was the first time we all got invited as a cast to go to one of these premieres. And, I've done voices in all 5 of the films. And so it was great to actually get to go to the real premiere.
Confirming now all 5 of the films you had voices in. I know we tracked you in a couple of them, but that's good to know that all 5.
But what about Rise of Skywalker? Where can we hear you?
That's what I wanted.
Have you been able to pick your voice out? Sorry, Jason was
no.
That's
all right. Go for it, because that was the question I was going to ask. That's the most recent one.
No, I've been trying to find it. I'll tell you the truth is I think some stormtroopers and stuff. The mix on that film is very different than the other films.
It's more dense.
And we did so much stuff vocally in that movie that isn't there. And all of us, when we went, were like, oh, like, so they pulled back and they really let John Williams' score fill the empty spaces where we had filled a lot of stuff. And I'm guessing that's J.J. Abrams going, you know what? We don't need it. But there was a ton of things. You can hear all of us. I mean, there was a big group of us doing the chanting in Palpatine's underground lair.
Yes.
And all that. I mean, that was like, I just remember Vanessa Marshall.
Do that again. That was you.
It was me and Vanessa Marshall and Steve Bloom and many other very talented voice actors in a big ADR stage on these microphones going, just like creepy, weird stuff. And
did they give you any copy to look at?
No,
did they say recite this? They just let you wing it.
Yeah, and it was, and I had the two of them on either side of me, and it was so great hearing their voices. Vanessa can get really creepy and like deep, and she does these weird kind of like Jiminy Glick on a bad day. But it was great. And Steve Bloom, his voice goes so low that the whole room just shakes. You feel it in your chest. But we had fun doing that. Then there were the scenes in the desert with all those aliens dancing, and we did all that singing, and it was actually Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton.
Right. He
did all of the scratch tracks, and he had them, and you could hear JJ in the background like laughing and saying, oh, do this and do that. So they played us. We had in our ears, we had Lin in our ears doing the kind of like Lion King type stuff.
I remember he did the tune in the Maz Kanata's palace or castle,
right?
But I had no idea that was Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the village,
all that music, all that, the chanting of the whole place, doing that big ritual thing. And so that was all of us. It was about, I want to say about 20 of us. So we had him in our ear, and we would just repeat after him. And David Collins was at the piano giving us the tone, and he was conducting us. And it was very cool.
Wow.
And then the little babies in that scene too. There's the little alien babies. I'm in there. You can hear me laughing. Doing little kid stuff, and but yeah, no, it was great fun. There was a lot of stuff in there and a lot of troopers. We did a lot of troopers. Sam and David and myself and Steve, we all did a lot of trooper voices.
Now, was that all done in one session, one day, or did you keep coming back for stuff like that?
2 sessions, 2 days. We did that in 2 days consecutively, and a Thursday and a Friday. And they are all-day sessions, and it's great because you're at Disney, you're on the lot, and Doc is the engineer. You'll see Doc's name on so many movies. He's just a salty old engineer recording of ADR stuff for every movie on the planet, and he's in there, and he gives us all a bad time, and he's great. And then David is there, and it is just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do.
So let me ask you, out of all the movies that you've done voice work for in the Disney era of Star Wars films, where can we hear you the most clearly?
Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars movie. No.
Well, no, now come on.
That's a cheat.
And I said the Disney era, so let's get it together, right. James. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
I was going for the joke. I would say probably The Last Jedi. I'm the and I think we talked about this in the casino scene. Everybody's favorite scene, the casino scene, where there's a little guy on the table. Place your bets. All bets are off. All right, that guy, that's me.
Right.
And that's very clear. And then he runs and jumps off the table, and the creatures come blowing through there, and whoa, and all that. And then in Rogue One, I'm pretty sure I am commence primary ignition. When they're
Starkiller Base, yeah.
And then a lot of troopers and a lot of rebels dying when Vader comes in. Spoiler alert. I think probably that the Last Jedi, that one, the casino scene would be the most prominent. Of course, the very first one, Force Awakens, it was going to be me as Obi-Wan, but they went and got that other guy.
Oh,
and
geez.
but I did record it originally. I was the one that recorded. Hey, this is your first step into a new world.
Right.
And when I heard it, I didn't know if it was me or not. I was like, I can't tell. Is that me or you? And so I had to ask Matt Wood.
Even
So
you
that was
can't
good.
tell. Imagine us.
That's great, man. That's great. So has anybody presented you with an 8x10 of that little cantina or casino creature that you play to sign? Here, James, will you sign this for me? So,
No.
all right, well, I'm throwing it out there. Who's going to be the first?
Yeah,
to,
who will be the first? That's right.
Get the autograph of that.
I've signed a lot
guy.
of troopers because I think in Force Awakens I have some some lines very much in the clear that are me. Right there, sir. Yes, sir. Right away, or something like as a trooper. But that guy, and I've signed some of those. But no, not that little guy. But people know his name. I can't remember his name. I should know it, but
Yeah, I feel like we should know it too. If it's not an action figure, I really struggle committing the names to memory. That's what sort of cements it for me, and that's another thing that's kind of as we get older and we look back nostalgically at the old Jim's got the visual dictionary, so we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Oh my gosh.
But everything to everything there's a season, and we don't get that huge avalanche of action figures with these movies like we used to, where every character, no matter how minor, got we played with on our bedspreads.
No, it was more fun in that regard. I loved that. And there was something about, because the figures are beautiful now, but they're so intense. It's like, I loved the simplicity of those original ones. There's something, I get that feeling even right now thinking about it, and the smell of them and the feel of them. It's, and they couldn't move, very well, but that was, I don't know, they were just awesome.
Yeah,
So
I would love
those.
to see, because that vintage retro look is coming back, and there's a whole new wave that's going to be coming for Empire Strikes. Oh, do we have it?
Hold on. Let me make sure I can show you. This is him, right? You see him there?
Him. Yeah, let me see. Let me put my glasses. Yeah, that's him.
Right. His name is Tham. Tham. Tham.
Tham.
As in ham.
As in ham.
Yes.
Ham with a T.
He's currently the most popular on the gambling hall floor. His boisterous demeanor is encouraging to nervous gamblers.
That's right.
While his consoling nature helps cushion devastating losses. Jesus, they could be describing you here, James Arnold Taylor.
It could be me.
Oh man, that's awesome. Also, I was watching Solo not long ago, and the kids in the beginning, all the little kids is all like Oliver Twist kind of thing. Mm-hmm. There's one very much in the clear of a little English boy saying a line. We've got to watch out before she comes. And it's me.
That's you.
Yes.
Wow, that really sounded like a little kid. I noticed that at the very beginning. Yeah, in Queen Proxima's lair.
Yeah, Queen Proxima. Yeah.
Yes,
that's right.
Han goes rushing by the kids. It's like blue lighting in the whole scene, and they're fretting over Queen Proxima. And then I hear Matt Wood say, "Get going, or Proxima's gonna have her high." It's Matt. I love when Matt shows up too.
My fondest memory of doing ADR for Solo was, that scene where Chewbacca grabs that guy and does the head thing right into the dirt or the ground. When we all saw that, we were all like so concerned for the stuntman. Like, how did they do that? Where Chewbacca just body slams the guy, and they had us playing over and over. We all just kept watching. Ooh! We had a lot of fun doing those. And I was also in that one. In the background, there's a big bald guy in the cage match. So I was Ron Howard's brother's voice double in that as well. Clint Howard. When Clint gets grabbed in the face by the robot, that's me. I do his because I've done Ron Howard's voice for many, like Arrested Development and stuff, and so they're like, "Who could do Clint Howard?" I said, "Oh, I can." And so, some of it is Clint and some of it is me. And then there's a guy in the background that's this big, kind of heavy-set, bald guy saying, "All right, come on, everybody, take your bets over there," and that's me as well. So, yeah.
Ron and Clint have very different voices.
They
to my
do.
ears. They sound very different.
I agree. But strangely enough, sometimes they will get Clint to do some of Ron's stuff, and then they'll call me in and have me redo it.
I didn't know that you did Ron Howard on Arrested Development.
Arrested. Let's see. So George Michael went to the boat. What happened? Well, we'll just have to see. It was that kind of, it was, there was a couple episodes where it was me doing him. Wow. So hopefully you can't tell.
Now, have you, I don't know if we've ever asked you this question before, but have you ever had the opportunity or have you ever been confronted by someone who you've done the voice doubling work for? And I'm not asking if there was any, issues or anything, but I mean, what's that like when you run into somebody?
I think Johnny Depp has reached out to you in the past.
Johnny Depp, yeah,
really?
And he's been the coolest one about it, because I spent a day on set with him back when there was this ride or an attraction at Disney World, which they got rid of, which was ridiculous. I wish they hadn't. It was the Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow, and I was the skull in that, because I'm also the skull at Disney World when you dead men tell no tale and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But when he came in, Captain Jack. So I spent the day up on a scaffold talking to Johnny Depp, who was in full Jack Sparrow regalia and all. And
wait a minute.
And so at the end of the day,
I just want to get this right. You spent the day on a scaffold with Johnny Depp in full Captain Jack Sparrow rig. That sounds like a fever dream, James. That doesn't sound like something a normal.
Yeah. It was awesome. So he was on a green screen. I was giving him his eye line because my character was an animated skull that just floated around the whole place. And so he was this amazing hologram of him that they used with projection. It looked like he was right there in the room with you if you ever went in and experienced that, The Legend of Jack Sparrow. And so they were shooting it all for him. And so I needed to be there in case he wanted to ad-lib and to give him the eye line. And so they had me up on a scaffold with a microphone strapped to my head. And I just would say all the, Captain Jack, good to see you. And then he would shoot guns at me and throw bottles at me, and he was the nicest guy. He really was a sweetheart of a guy, and just very very low key and just just happy to be there. And so it was like, do I tell him that I'm his voice double? Because I've been doing something. So when we did the Willy Wonka stuff, he was filming Pirates, and he said, give me his phone number and his cell phone number, because he was listening to all the tracks I was doing, and if I made anything that he thought should be finessed, he wanted to call me and work on it with me, which really pretty nice. So yeah, he was a sweetheart of a guy.
And no one ever said, no, that guy doesn't double my voice ever again. Get him out of there.
Like David Spade will tell people, get that James Taylor guy to do it. I'm too busy. I don't want to.
You better be careful. You could probably take his show too.
I know. I think he has a podcast. I think too. So he could,
does he? Yeah.
I think you could just do the whole thing. No one would know.
That's right.
Hey, speaking of podcasts, how's your thing going?
My podcast is great. Thank you for asking. I really give you so much credit, Jimmy, for helping me out getting the whole thing up and running.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man.
The show is called Talking to Myself. I've taken a little hiatus over the last month or so, and people keep saying, we need new episodes. And with this whole lockdown, I should be doing more episodes, but I've been shooting videos and putting them on the YouTube channel of me playing cards with people, so trying to do fun things like, so if you're sitting down to play a game of cards with me, so I'm just looking straight into camera like this, and my wife plays the other hand, and we play hands of gin and crazy eights and stuff. But the podcast has been kind of on hold because I'll be honest, there's so many things that I can't talk about with work that it's like I'm almost like waiting for things to come out so I can actually then have things to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
And then also just with the way the climate of everything, it was like, sometimes you just go, gosh, I don't know. I don't know what to talk about. And I would get a little serious. So I actually ended up recording like 4 episodes that I ended up not putting out because I'd go off on tangents that were a little too serious. And I thought, my show's supposed to be like a positive, uplifting thing. So I'm going to get back to it this week. It's been a tough, we've all had kind of a tough time here, I think, kind of changing with the world. And so I was like, okay, I gotta fix this. So,
well, speaking of that, and we obviously, we're here to talk about Star Wars. We don't want to dwell on it, but when Jim mentioned you were coming on the show, I was very excited because I said, "Oh, this is the perfect guy for this time. This is the perfect person," because you're known for being a very uplifting, positive person.
Thanks.
You like to keep things positive and stay in a sort of a growth mindset. So for those that are out there and they're maybe feeling a little down, what does James Arnold Taylor say to them? What helps you when you get down?
Well, and not to get overly spiritual, but my faith is a huge part of my life, and that certainly is what gets me going. And that's also where I wake up in the morning, I start my day on my knees, and I've just been really hopeful and grateful lately. Just that, you know what? I think we got this. I think we're going to take care of this. I think we're going to do the right things, and I think we're all going to come together. And I honestly believe that maybe, just maybe, we'll all start to kind of see the benefits of family and togetherness, and more so from all of this. Hitting the reset button, because I was not really for it. I was kind of against it, quite frankly. I was like, I don't know about all this. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it could be a really good thing for all of us to be able to reset and get time away from the computer, away from the phone, start reading again, going outside. I can't tell you how many people are walking outside. My wife and I walk every day anyways. And now we're seeing families out there. We're seeing people, it's great. So I'm really encouraged by all of this, in that I would say to people, don't stay home watching the news. That's a bad idea. That's the wrong idea. Get out there, write something, paint something, draw something, create something. If you're not somebody that is artistic, just get out there and look at a tree for a while. I know I sound like, hippy dippy dude, but I'm telling you, man, it's a beautiful world, and I think we should just take it in a little bit more. And I think this is a great opportunity to do it. So that's the positive, James's positive note today.
Well, and for those that don't know, I mean, you're a man that's speaking from experience, because at one time, here you are, somebody who makes a living through his voice, and at one time you found yourself unable to speak.
Yes.
So I mean, that must have felt like rock bottom, and that the world was not going to continue on for you.
That's a great point. I mean, it is kind of like, I think when all of this hit, I thought, and my wife actually said, she goes, we've been through worse, because I got exposed to black toxic mold. I lost my voice. I was really, in a desperate situation there, and for a long time, and for many years, and I had to rebuild my voice and get my health back. And so this is like, we can do this. I felt very positive and uplifted by all the things I learned from then, and putting them into play now, and just seeing that, it truly is true. If you surround yourself with positive people, you feel more positive. If you surround yourself with negative people, you feel more negative. So surround yourself with positive people, watch and listen to wonderful things like this beautiful, wonderful podcast that is just fun and exciting, and get you thinking. My wife does puzzle books. She does puzzle books because it's good for your brain. And it's like, do whatever it is that keeps you busy in a good way right now. And you'll get through it. You'll really get through it, and feel even better, and probably learn a lot more, Right. So it's we homeschool my daughter too. So, it's like with the homeschooling of my daughter, it's like, it's no different for her, except actually for school, but she gets out a lot more. She's more social. People always go, oh, homeschoolers aren't social. They're extremely social. We have a homeschool social group that isn't able to do anything except by Zoom now. And all the kids are like, oh, this is a bummer. So, but the best part is, I come in, she's on these Zoom calls now, and I'll come in behind her and I'll do like the bunny ears, and all her friends, of course, know who I am. And, so I'll go like, hello there. And then I'll leave. So it's been fun. I've been having fun messing with them all.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, James, thank you so much. You've taken so much time to hang with us. And is there anything you want to let our listeners know that you got coming up to keep their eyes open for? I know it's kind of a crazy time where everything's sort of up in the air, but what do you got to plug?
Yeah, I will say, the beautiful thing about being a voice actor is, I'm doing all my work from my home studio now, where I did a good portion of it usually, but I can do even more. And the one thing I will say is there is stuff coming out. There is, I can't announce anything, but I'm working on a lot of really exciting projects that I know all of your fans are really going to be excited about. And I can't wait, for them all to experience them. One of the coolest things recently that we didn't touch on was Lieutenant Beck at Rise of the Resistance, Galaxy's Edge. So I can't wait for everybody to be able to get back to Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge at Disney World and Disneyland, and ride Rise of the Resistance, because Lieutenant Beck is the one the Mon Calamari that takes you on the journey, and I'm the voice of Lieutenant Beck. So,
wow. So you're the man. You're the. I did get the chance to go out to Anaheim last summer, and go on the Millennium Falcon and all that. That was before Rise of the Resistance. So when I'm going through the queue, am I hearing your voice coming out over those loudspeakers as well? I could have sworn I picked Dee's voice out.
Yeah, Dee's voice is definitely in there. No, I don't think Beck is in that stuff, but afterwards for sure. But he's the voice throughout the entire ride, so he takes you through the whole thing.
For Rise
of amazing. Yeah, he's an amazing animatronic.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And so I'm sure people have seen it online. If not, you can see the whole ride. It's a fantastic ride. It's like 15 minutes or at least. And it is quite an adventure, but it is fun because throughout the whole thing, you hear me in it. And it was great because I originally was going to be just a scratch track for them. Mm-hmm. Disney was like, let's put a scratch track in, a template, and see if we'll get a celebrity in there. And then they realized, oh, we really like this character. And it was my homage to John Hurt, who I doubled for many years for Hellboy and other films, Beowulf and such. I did a lot of his doubling in films. And John Hurt had that wonderful voice that was right there, very smoky. So when they said, we're doing a Mon Calamari, I'm like, well, I don't want to do Akbar, obviously,
Right.
And I've done some of Akbar's lines in the past. It's a trap, but it's all right there. And I thought, well, what if you take it up just a little, refine it a little bit more, and make it more like John Hurt? So
right, he's Akbar from a better neighborhood. Right? James, you've been so great again. James Arnold Taylor tells you, he says, go out and look at a tree. So that's what I want everyone to do. Take us with you in your earbuds and go out and look at a tree. Practice social distancing. But if you feel so inclined, you can go ahead and hug that tree if you want, right? Okay.
Hugging trees is permitted, yes.
Yeah, we can do that.
Obi-Wan says, hug the tree, Anakin.
Awesome.
It may fill a void for you as we're dealing with social distancing. So thank you so much, James. You're the best, man.
Thank you. It will give you the high ground.
There we go. Good enough yourself, huh?